The Vietnam War was the most frustrating war ever fought by the U.S. Army. All kinds of traps made the U.S. Army cry. Like the bamboo stick trap, which the U.S. Army was most afraid of. As long as they fell into it, they would basically die for sure. There are also pedal traps, although the step down will not directly touch the spikes, but will soon experience 1,000 arrows through the feet of the cool feeling. The most insidious of all was the snake trap. The Vietnamese put a poisonous snake inside a briefcase, and American troops were bitten as soon as they opened it. And then there were the creative bullet traps. Once the American troops stepped on it, the bullet's primer would hit the nail, and eventually shoot a hole in the sole of the foot. But compared to these mind-boggling traps, the scariest thing was the Vietnamese who came out of nowhere. They dug more than 200 kilometers of tunnels, came out, shot, and ran. The American Army's best equipment was useless, and the tunnels were not vertical. So the American troops couldn't hurt the Vietnamese by dropping grenades. Even though bombers dropped dozens of tons of bombs, the Vietnamese still had a great time underground. The tunnels were equipped with all kinds of facilities, such as kitchens, hospitals, dormitories, arsenals, and so on. Even a movie theater. It was like an underground city. And the American Army used all kinds of dirty tricks to deal with tunnel warfare. For example, they used poison gas in the tunnels, but it didn't work. As soon as the Vietnamese closed the door below, the gas couldn't get in. The Americans never knew how many entrances there were to the tunnels. The Vietnamese would cover them with grass, so they couldn't find them even if they passed by. Sometimes the entrances were hidden in pigsties or even in rivers. In short, there was nothing they couldn't do, nothing they couldn't think of. In the end, the Americans had no choice but to go into the tunnels. It was dark and narrow. Not only did they have to use flashlights, they also had to sketch the tunnels to get a better idea of what was going on inside, like this unlucky guy who got ambushed while he was crawling. The Vietnamese gave him a surprise. And then there were scorpion traps, which could kill you if you got stung. Or the snake trap, which could have bitten an American soldier. The tunnels were so complicated that it was easy to get lost, and in a panic, you could run into one of these tripwires and get a grenade on the spot. Sometimes you're just a wall away from the Vietnamese, and you get stabbed with a stick. And then there's this one that's even worse. The Vietnamese up there are pouring water down. They couldn't swim through the narrow tunnels and soon drowned alive. And the sinister Vietnamese would come out at night to get food. They would even raid the American base camps.